Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
On goes Bull. Speedball might yet win it here for Wolves. Flash in the shot. What a goal! Molineux in all its
magnificence. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Wolves Fancast, part of the 90 Min Football Network. On a week when the Fancasts have had on world-renowned journalist Julen Lopetegui, former Wolves assistant coach Julen Lopetegui, I've got two titans, two behemoths of the Wolves football world. I'm joined by Josh and Stu. Stu is heavily still invested in the Jets game, who are about 3 points up with a couple of minutes to go, and knowing Wolves look and Jets look, they'll probably be about to lose it, knowing that. But we're not here to talk about American football.
Can we just clarify that the Jets have won 5 games this season?
I know, they're doing really well, and I don't quite know how or why.
Yeah, and we've
fair play,
scored all. We've won almost as many games. Well, if depending on this one, as Wolves have scored goals after 14 games. So
that's depressing.
It is something else. But we aren't going to talk about the Jets, despite the fact that it might be more interesting than talking about Wolves at the moment. We are going to talk about Wolves' 3-2 defeat to Brighton. Talk a little bit about what we think Lopetegui needs to do when he becomes full-time manager a week on Monday. And have a little look at the Leeds game in the Cup as well. It was a bit much of a muchness yesterday, wasn't it, gents? But we'll talk for lineup, because most of the talk going into it was around who was going to play up top. And I know, Stu, you were very much...
Well, there's no point, is there? We just play back what I've said for the last 2 years. It's the same every week. But yeah, I very much wanted to see Fraser given a run, just because why not? And it's just like, well, okay, we know how shit everyone else is. Let's just give someone else a chance. And then that lineup comes out, and you think, well, okay, Hwang at his best is like me and Jafar talked about in the previous show, at his best in the middle. And it's not saying much that it's the best of bad. 3 bad situations and the 3 positions, but at least he can't do much damage there. Guedes, before this game, we spoke about enough, and Podence. I mean, that was my first thing, is it, why is Podence still in this team? And I think the fact that we went down to 10 men, he was taken off and we didn't even notice, kind of says everything about his form at the minute. But other than that, we knew that Nunes was probably 50-50, and if he didn't play, then that's the midfield that picks itself, because that's all we have. So I was just pleased with Boubacar Traoré getting a run out again, because I think he's probably been the signing of the season so far. And I know that's not saying much, but still, I think he's like a diamond in the rough, that kid. He's superb.
I described him as having big cult hero vibes.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say something else then.
I also thought the same.
Is this going to be the type of show we are? We're 4 minutes in, gentlemen. Of which, you know what, we're not exactly a great nick ourselves at the moment at Wolves, so why not just bring it down to fair level? But Josh, again, it's much of a muchness. Half the team picks itself, because we don't really have any other options really. But it's great to see. It was good to see Bueno getting another run out as well.
Well, you look at like Bueno and in particular Traoré, and they're the 2 least experienced players at the club, and they're probably 2 of the best performers we've got at the minute. You know, I think the team, like you say, it is much picks itself. I think Hwang, you know, when we're trying to play a long ball to 6'4" Lewis Duncan, 6 foot whatever Webster, you kind of, what else do you want him to do? Obviously, Guedes, he come in, I think he played well. You're lucky to probably pick Tadama looking back on it, but it's much of a muchness, isn't it? I mean, everything just, it feels the same. And what's nice about Traoré and Bueno is the new. You don't know what they're going to do. Okay, they might drop a stinker in there, but you can't down mind because it's different. Whereas, like, Semedo's going to just make brain dead 1 out of 3 games, like yesterday.
I'm literally going to hold back the shackles because we could probably donate, I reckon, 50% of the next hour talking about Semedo's performance yesterday. Bearing in mind, he only played for 45. Oh, bloody! I mean, let's get into it because I've been anxious about this game all week just because of how frighteningly aggressive Brighton are in like a good way in terms of how they like attack and press and things like that. I'm thinking how much of our players act like scared sheep a lot of the time. And yeah, my fears were pretty much realised within the first sort of 10 minutes or so because it did feel like an onslaught, didn't it, Stu?
Yeah, I mean, we know what Brighton have got our number the vast majority of the time anyway. And other than that, when I was looking on 11v11 earlier just to see how bad it actually is, and it's amazingly not as bad as Huddersfield, but still, I know that obviously last year they did us. But other than the freak one here and there, we lose to them all the time. It's a given, and I think that's kind of why when going into it, I wasn't really that bothered because I'm kind of not. I expected us to lose. It was just we're still without an actual manager who's managed it above the National League, and that's not going to change for the Arsenal game. So we've already lost that one as well. So it's like, well, why get yourself so worked up about things when it's almost inevitable what's going to happen? And within 5 minutes of them having the ball, I think, well, how many is it going to be? And amazingly, we have 2 of them. So that was the that was the only shock to me. I mean, Brighton keep the ball well. Brighton have plans. Brighton have better players than us. They do. I mean, it might not be on paper that people love and everything, but they have. It's just a fact. And you look at where they are, and then De Zerbi's just slid in there, and they look better yesterday than under Potter against us. I thought they were absolutely superb.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like embarrassing. To be fair, I could say this was pretty much throughout the game, but particularly that first 10 minutes, like it was astonishing how much more they looked like they had a plan.
Yeah.
Which is a bit depressing. Is it like that? It was really clear that how they were going to play, their movement on and off the ball, just the speed of what they were doing. I couldn't imagine this Wolves team doing it. Could you, Josh?
The way they kept the ball in the first 5 minutes, I remember saying to one of my mates, this feels like Man City town where you thought we are going to get fucking peppered here. And then when Semedo backs, I knew Semedo was going to get done by that Japanese lad when he backed out of the tackle like 5 minutes in. And I was just like, we're in for a long afternoon here. And like, what does your head in is, look at Adam Lallana. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but the technical ability they got in midfield, little things like that, the plan. It's like, remember Mourinho went on All or Nothing and he said he could blindfold the Wolves players and then still find each other. That was Brighton yesterday. They wasn't even looking at where to pass. They just knew the man was going to be there. It was quite incredible to watch, really.
Yeah, like I can't think if I was able to watch that game as a neutral and just be able to observe Brighton, it would just be fascinating because it was all like coached and drilled. But I think like a lot of time when we say that about a football team, it's usually like got quite defensive and negative connotations. Whereas like whether you say this is like an overhang from Large or whatever, like we just look like we just go through the motions so much. It's almost like just this just repetitive nature. Whereas it was just all so marauding, and like it wasn't a surprise they scored. They looked like they were going to score just from that corner, and the chance they got from it, and then it ended up going in, and I was like, fuck it, is it another one of those? And we've rolled over enough times, like roll back. What was it, 2 weeks ago to Leicester, where like we conceded again an early goal, and we bent over, but something strange happened, Stu.
Well, the fact that we scored, and the fact that Guedes scored, and the fact that it was a decent finish, and he beat someone. It was like 3-1. It was amazing, and it's. But this is exactly what we're saying. We've been saying all year, all season since he signed. That the only time he's been any good is when he ran at players as a second striker. When he's crossing ability, shit, hasn't got any. Pointless waste of time putting him out there. But I know he was cutting in from the right hand side, and he direct running. That's all we've asked. All we've asked all season long. That when he was effective last year, that's where he played his best football. And lo and behold, he gets a chance to do that, to go on his own. And it was a brilliant finish. And I think it was, I know we're skipping around a bit, but I think it was brilliant management from Steve Davis to give him his recognition from everyone when he took him off. I know it was probably detrimental to the results overall, but maybe. But still, I thought that was more important than anything else. Even though he did kind of just completely ignore the rules of being off the pitch at the time when he was just cutting back and across the corner. I thought, well, if you're going to get caught, you're going to get booked here if you do this. But now he took his goal really, really well. And I didn't think he had the upper body strength to do something like that. I really didn't.
It was almost quite reminiscent of, do you know the goal he scored for Valencia? Where like he kept like tripping over. Or kept getting fouled.
It was. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like, not on a different day, you see a player go down for that, and maybe gets a penalty, maybe he doesn't. But the tenacity to continue through and to put in a decent finish. But one thing I wanted to note about the goal was Traore's pass for it. Again, I can't remember the last time we saw a Wolves player incisive through ball like that.
Yeah, and
I remember saying to my mates before the game, when was the last time Wolves scored a one-on-one? I know that's not like a proper one-on-one, but it was genuinely like he was bearing down on goal in behind someone. I also think as well, it was very reminiscent of a certain Diogo Jota that used to play for us.
Yes.
It was just the tenacity, the drive into the box. He was just, nothing was going to stop him. And I think even if he hadn't have gone in, I think he'd have got a penalty because the lad was clipping at his heels. But it was nice to see him just, I'll stay on my feet here because it's much easier for me to do that. And he took it well. It was just all you've wanted to see all season was just him to drive, as it like Stu said. You just want to see him drive, get into the box and have chances. That's all you want to see from Wolves team is, again, going around in circles a little bit. But that's what I like about Steve Davis, that as much as, okay, it's not been the best, defensively. It's nice to see Wolves create chances. We never did that under Bruno. I mean, if Guedes had got that ball with Bruno, he'd have probably gone backwards to Semedo or something like that, try and create the perfect goal where all 11 players take a touch and stuff like that. It was nice to break, transition, what we're good at.
And there is already as well, there's been this weird revisionist history and this is why you don't get on players' backs after 10 games. It's fucking quarter of the season's gone. This is the first time he's actually done anything of any note.
It is.
At all. And let's keep our heads about us here. If this carries on, then fair play. But we saw this with Trincao last year. That he had one or two amazing games, and then he went back into mediocreness again. I mean, that's from me saying that. So let's all be a bit calm here. But it was his best performance in a Wolves-ship. That's not saying much, but by an absolute mile.
No, it seemed like the goal gave him a lot of confidence as well. And you know what? I really shouldn't pick apart this because he had a decent game. And look, the bar's low, don't get me wrong. A little frustrated when you look at the celebration, how like relaxed and calm down, like he was doing like almost for calm down, guys. Like he does it every week. And I was a bit like, again, we're all hurting as fans at the moment. We're all picking on little things that irritate us the most. Mine celebrate at. Give it the big one. Or like don't act like you do it every week. As Stu says, he's played 10 games. And it's the first time he's done something meaningful. But overall, I think he looked good. And you're right, Josh. We haven't really created chances, and we don't seem to create chances like that.
No.
very often. And I was watching the Brentford highlights yesterday, and you look at the. I mean, it was a mad game. Don't get me wrong, but do you ever watch match of the day or just football in general and just go? I was like, yeah, I just can't see Wolves scoring goals like that. It's been so long since we've been a creative outlet under the last kind of couple of years that I don't know. You do kind of lose that.
I watched the
Can't even think of the right
Southampton.
word
You know
for it.
the Elneny missed a chance for Southampton today, and they worked a lovely ball down the right hand side, played it infield 3 times, and I thought, you know what, I would give both my balls to see Wolves play like that, like some nice intricate football inside, across across the box. Like I was just. I watch Wolves and I don't see what we're good at. And think how many different ways we used to score goals. We don't score any of them.
Yeah.
It's absolutely unbelievable. Like when you sit and think about it, just quite how shit we are, really.
I mean, it's like even watching Match of the Day. It's like watching the AFL highlights on ITV with the weird jazz soundtrack that they've got this year. And you get it's even like the Championship. Like you wait for the last 10 minutes of the hour and a half that it's on, and you're watching League Two goals being blasted in from all over the place, and these 1-2 moves that we never do any of it. It's just bizarre.
I genuinely hope under this new regime they manage to, because there have been little signs under Davis that we have created a couple of different chances like that. The frustrating thing for me is, we get that goal like Guedes, an open play, something we've not exactly had many of, that aren't just a Ruben Neves fucking screamer, which, I think literally about a minute before the goal, I tweeted after the game, it was like, oh, well, looks like we're just going to have to wait for Ruben Neves just to start pinging them from 30 yards. But then we don't seem to be able to create chances like that again, despite the fact it's suiting our front players. You say Hwang's best through the middle. He's not a player who does lots of hold-up play. He's someone who's a bit more of a fox in the box. And of all Hwang's faults, he's a half-decent finisher. And we just kind of don't go, well, how can we get him into goal-scoring positions? I don't know. But going forward, again, we kind of, after we got it, did give us a bit of confidence. And we did manage to get forward to get I don't know, guys. Were we lucky to get a penalty or not? Because I think it's harsh.
I think it's harsh.
I don't know. I do think we deserved it. Just looking at how high his hand is there. Stu, as our VAR, I was going to say expert.
I mean, it's a penalty. You can't have your hand in the air like that and get away with it. The whole silhouette thing was abandoned anyway. That's not part of the rules anymore. But still, his hand's there. His hand's up in the air, and it's hit his hand. It hasn't it's like we talked about earlier. The Martini one at Man City, they hit his armpit hair. It's hit his arm in the penalty area, so it's a penalty. Why on earth it took so long again to when you watch it once? I didn't see it in real time, I admit. And I tried to zoom in on the VAR screen, the other side of the pitch as well. Even for a Galaxy S21 Ultra, it's not good enough.
Other smartphones are available.
Yeah, but they got to zoom like that though. Maybe the 22. But when as soon as they show it on the screen, you think, well, of course it's a penalty. It's just it's unlucky because obviously he's not doing it deliberately, but it's handball. Simple. And amazingly, did you see that Gary Lineker tweeted something about it in the afternoon, and then didn't mention it once on the actual program last night?
Chris shagging twat.
I did find that funny when I saw the tweet and going, oh, it's a ludicrous decision, and then our match of the day highlights analysis was brief to say the least. But I tell you what, lovely penalty by Neves.
That's per. He just steps up like when the club needs him most.
Yeah.
I had no faith in scoring it because the other thing I just want to go back to is how it is so terrible for the match going fan. You're sitting there, however long that was, and you knew how long it took. It was probably a penalty, but they don't show it on the screens no more. And you're like, it's so terrible for the match going fan. It's infuriating because it's like, oh, the goddamn remote control season ticket holder at home getting a better view than the fan at the ground. It is so poor. But anyway, going back to the Neves penalty, of course, you know, he just steps up once again for the club like he always does. And I thought, I'll tell you what, we're on for a big result here. And then, well, yeah.
I was like, this is, I think, I'm so glad I didn't tweet it, because in my head I was like, this is what's going to turn the tables. We've announced the new man's coming in. We've stepped up now. We've shown him what we're all about. And I was like, yeah, I'm happy.
You know what? Just on that, what Josh said then about the match going fan thing. Molineux is worse than most places for this. Because I mean, I've been to, as we know, everywhere over the last 3-4 years of having VAR when we've been allowed in, and the vast majority of places with screens will have VAR checking straight away, and it's like, well, and like when it says VAR check complete, after like 3 or 4 kicks have already happened. So what? Why? Why can't we even do these things, simple things right? It's if there's something happened, why can't you just say VAR checking? Why isn't there just a button just to press to say, well, just put it on the screen? We know that that's what's happening anyway, because the ref's already blown up and put his hand up like some kind of Thomas the Tank Engine field marshal. And you think, well, why would we have to overcomplicate everything? And I know it's the same Premier League graphic, so it's surely just some kind of PowerPoint presentation where you just type in what's happened.
It's just like clicking, and it'll just be. I was going to say behind the curtain, it'll just be like clicking like an overlay like this.
It's because they've got to get the money out of Dickie Dodd. That's why, you know, if they're having non-match presenter, they've got to get the money out of him.
It's just another one of these annoying things that you don't get anywhere else.
I tell you what, hold on to these thoughts, guys, because we have got a question for Twitter Corner at the end of the show, which might be relevant. I'm not going to lie. Fuck it, should we get into Semedo?
Oh,
because you could argue the first goal he was at fault for. I don't think he was solely at fault for it. Sorry for Brighton's second goal. Because there's a point where like you look at how they're positioning, they're all in a decent position. They're covering the spaces. I think it's criminal for how old's Adam Lallana now? Mid-30s, isn't he?
Yeah, 34, isn't he?
34. If I know one thing about Adam Lallana, it's that he loves a Cruyff turn. It's like how we give him the time and the space to do that. And don't get me wrong, it's if that was Podence or whoever doing that for Wolves, I'd be lauding it. But again, it's just not something you can count that goal characterised from any of the players at the moment. But again, Semedo dropping off on the back stick, and not for the first time in recent weeks, was it?
Well, he's had it all throughout his whole Wolves career, which is what my point was about it. Why is Collins just floating around? Why is Semedo being left to mark someone from a crossing point of view, and we know he can't head the ball away? He can jump for it and kind of mess it up when he's drawn on the touchline, but when he's defending in the box, I can't remember a time he's ever come out on top. There's loads of them going back for the whole 2-3 years he's been here. But again, why is he in this position? It doesn't make any sense. And I know that Josh is going to go. I mean, for the audio listeners, he's bright red. I mean, he's got red phone boxes on his wallpaper in the background. Yeah, and this ain't because he's been watching Lewis Hamilton doing donuts in Vegas all weekend. He's raring to go for this one. So I'm just going to say at the minute, we tried Johnny there. Johnny's been terrible. We tried Semedo there. He hasn't been much better in the last couple of months. And then you look what happened to Ait Nouri, and he's fell off a cliff. And you think, well, okay, we've moved to a back four. And someone put it on Twitter. I can't remember who it was, but they said, well, when we were all saying about playing a back five, were we actually covering the deficiencies of the central defenders, or the fact that we have no actual fullbacks and we have wing backs, and that is it? And the actual only fullback that we have at the club is a child who's come in and shown all of them up. And the system exposes them way too much, and none of them have done any well. But saying that was a 2 out of 10 performance from Semedo yesterday. So take it away.
Well, I got to start off. Like, obviously, we know Semedo is like that was a shocker yesterday. Is he out for 1 or 3 games?
I'd guess it'd only be 1.
I believe it's only 1.
Why could it not have been 3? Why could it not have been 3? I just in general like Semedo is he's the most infuriating player because what is he good at? What does Semedo offer? Like maybe it's a bit reactionary because of what he did yesterday. He cost us the game, but in general, you look at him. He can't defend, can't dribble, can't attack, can't pass, can't shoot. He's not his skill set. He's very, and I think he's better wing back. But then he also look and go, wing backs are supposed to provide goals, assists on top of everything else, and he couldn't do that. Obviously, you've got. I know Johnny's not been much better, but he's still a better option than Semedo at this point, probably. Semedo's, he's played the highest level, he's playing Champions League semi-finals, the lot, and he getting onto the whatever he was trying to do for the red card, so much deeper than all our defenders. The second the ball went over the top, I thought he's going to get done here. He's going to get done. He's going to get done. You just knew what was going to happen, and then to pull him down like that, it's just unbelievable. I just knew it's so sad. I knew it was going to happen, but it was just unbelievable to see that 30 million quid played at the highest level. Couldn't even read that.
You know what? I just had a quick gander at the Premier League website. 71 appearances, 1 goal, 3 assists, 14 clean sheets, and I know that counts the Nuno year where he was terrible for the majority of it. And then, I mean, let's be honest, last season he was good. He was good for the vast majority of last season. Anyway, we can't rewrite history here. But he was bought to replace Matt Doherty, who we got for nothing, sold for a third of the price, and we probably performed better overall. And it's insane that this is still a thing.
Well, I was going to say, when we talked about deficiencies of playing a back 4 and it highlighting, players' weaknesses, that Doherty, one of the big things, well, I think most fans were not happy to see him go, but accepting, and were a bit almost confused that he was a good wing back for us. But you could see him struggling in the back 4 when he moved away, and he seems to have found a bit of form now at Spurs. 2.5 years into his career there, under a very good manager, I guess. But it does sort of feel like this back 4 is this defence is getting more and more exposed by the game.
It's just wildly unbalanced. The centre halves have got probably less than 50 Premier League full 90s between the two of them, which is why, I know we're going to concentrate, but the third goal, Collins dives in and Kilman does whatever he's trying to do. But, it's just the team's wildly unbalanced. And then it doesn't help when you experience seasoned pros like Semedo, who's 29, does branded things like that. Obviously, you've got Johnny, who's not playing much better. And it just feels unreal to think that Hugo Bueno, who's had 4 Premier League appearances, is showing up everyone in our defence at the minute. And and even when Aitner was there, it was defensive deficiencies, but he offered something going forward. I mean, just going back to the Semedo Doherty, it's quite clear Semedo's a better player. There's no working around that, but was he really worth £30 million? I think the jury's there on that. Is it a good £30 million that we spent?
No. And I think hindsight's a wonderful thing,
of course,
isn't it?
I understand that.
It kind of breaks a lot of the structure around Wolves, even at the time, because I've always said, Wolves' big thing is they like to spend 18 million on a player if they like him. That's usually around their sweet spot, and even kind of going into this season, that's like their price point for them a lot of the time. But to then kind of go so far, I don't know. That's. It's weird to think about in hindsight that we did drop so much on a fullback.
It doesn't make any sense. That whole summer made no sense anyway.
No, it didn't, did it?
But looking at this, that we had three clean sheets out of 6 games before Collins got sent off, and then the whole deck of cards has completely collapsed and never recovered. Does it make any sense again?
Yeah, I was going to say it's been an interesting game yesterday because by and large, the defence has come out badly from it, but the 4 players, by and large, have come out positively. We've talked about Guedes. I didn't think Hwang was awful. I mean, again, bars being where they're set. I know Little Dan in the Fancast chat sort of said, well, what did he do good? And it felt more of a case of he didn't do anything genuinely awful. He didn't assist the opposition in scoring, which, I appreciate where that is. But you're right. We weren't saying anything, going in second half. Obviously, it's going to be harder with 10 men. But some of the third goal was just frustrating, wasn't it? Because there was an air of the inevitable about it as much as anything else. The further we were going into it, the more they were carving us open. We seemed like we were kind of caught between 2 bus stops in terms of, do we press them or do we sit back and stay disciplined? And Stu, we didn't really kind of do either, did we?
No, I think the complete insanity of bringing out Nuri on just killed anything at all. And I know why he did it, and it was obviously to have a bit of pace and legs up front, but it just hit Adama. It massively backfired because we had nothing then. There was nothing at all. And when you've got nothing up front, what's going to happen? We're going to be pegged back and pegged back and pegged back. And then you look at that. I mean, the inevitable's right because it was like Terry Connery era defending wide. It was completely shambolic. The amount of bodies that were in the box and no one did anything at all, other than just jumping in Collins' case. And again, I'm not going to have a go at him. He's young. I mean, the fact that the club is in such a mess is down to recruitment and Bruno Lage more than anyone else. You're not going to have a go at players on the pitch for their inability to do their actual job properly when there's no leaders anywhere. Well, we've got one leader who's up in Scousland. But again, we all wanted him gone anyway. And it was the first thing I heard as soon as I come out the ground. That wouldn't have happened under Cody. I think, it happened for the last 3 months of last season under Cody. So let's just forget all about that. But the fact that our most experienced central defender probably still hasn't even got 100 professional games for the club. And in turn, professional football. So you're looking around and where does the blame lie? And I've got no idea anymore.
I was going to say, Ed Marshall in the YouTube comments, big thanks to everyone who's watching live, says, no competition for places with our tiny squad breeds complacency. And it's completely correct. We've banged on about our midfield for 2 seasons, 3 seasons now. It's the same players. And it's arguably the same with the defenders as well, in terms of those centre-backs. Because, to be honest, for me, and I might get powers for this, Collins wasn't the worst thing about that goal for me. Yes, it was bad, but you look at his studio, look how many players are in that box, and just no one's tracking any of those runners coming in. Just
you look how the goal starts, though.
Yeah,
Solly March on the left-hand side just cuts across the whole pitch. It's just the little things, and I agree with the idea of the tiny squad, but you look and go, why would a player want to come back up to us when, look at Totti Gomez, our actual centre-half gets suspended for 3 games, and then our manager then decides to throw our best player into centre-half. Why would you want to come and join the club and play back up when, even when you're called upon to be back up, you're not going to get played anyway?
It's a joke. It is an actual joke when you look at it like that, and it almost comes through chance that the likes of Bueno come through, and even Traoré to a degree, isn't it? That he's come in, and it makes it even worse that I know Dundonker gets his pelters. He got a standing fucking ovation for Villa today.
But
it
it
just never
playing
ends.
in defensive mid, playing in his actual position. And I like Traore, and I'm not saying one player over the other, whatever, but just we didn't need to necessarily get rid of Dendoncker and
I mean,
things like that. And I don't know, it's one
the
of them,
amount
innit?
the amount of times we've been on here and Gully's defending him as some kind of like defensive midfield Messi, and it's outrageous nonsense like that. And Kim hates him, and we've all argued about Dendoncker, and then like we said it for the last 3-4 years that you can't have a go at him because he's never played in his position. He's been played as a false nine. He's been played as a 10. He's been played as a right winger. Then he's played all three roles in one game some weeks. And you think, why? And yet because he got them runs into the box like Dave Edwards, but he couldn't score. So what was the point of it all? Well, you can just leave him alone to play his actual game. And lo and behold, 2 games for Villa, he's come off to 2 standing ovations because he's playing in his actual position. And that's the same thing that I've had the conversation about with Kwang playing through the middle, and he was all right. He wasn't great, but he was all right. But again, no service. And he's not exactly built to hold the ball up. Is he like some kind of like Kevin Kyle? He ain't like that kind of physique. He's balls running onto the ball. His strength. So we're all automatically at a disadvantage there. But at least he was better because he was playing in a role that he can do. And like, I know Nunes is injured, but play him in his actual position so we can see what he's about, and not put him up as a number 10 where he's never played in his life.
When they're going to stop treating Nunes like Dendoncker, because that's what it feels like at the minute.
Mm.
You're in the Dendoncker paradox again of, we'll play him out of position. I mean, he's a 40 million quid midfielder, and okay, I know he's played out of position, but it feels underwhelming. But that's what happens when you don't play people in the right position. So Guedes, we felt underwhelmed with Guedes because lo and behold, we haven't played in the right position. Shock horror, we play him in the right position for once, and he gets standing ovation off the pitch.
Yeah, and I said this to my uncle yesterday. That you look at it, I mean, he says, "Oh, I don't know where they found this Nunes from." I went, "Well, for one, you've never seen him play in your life, so shut up." And two, I said, "How good would Steve Bull have played in defensive midfield?" There's your answer. He'd be fucking shit, wouldn't he? Because that's not his position.
I was going to say, it was playing Steve Bull like right winger.
Yeah,
in this formation, wouldn't it? And just go, yeah, this or play him as a number 10. And you're right, you don't. How are we as a football club spending 40 million on Mateus Nunes to then go, let's not play him in his best position. Let's not work out how we, surely there must be a formation where you get the best out of your current player in Ruben Neves and your newest player, Mateus Nunes. And frankly, if it means sacrificing quite literally any other player, you do it. It's mind-boggling simple. But then it's like you then go down that weird rabbit hole where Ruben Neves ends up playing centre half because move your best player out of position, and it's just kind of stemmed this complacency throughout the club. And yeah, like Collins going in, way too early and not just shielding when look at the size of him. All he needs to do is just keep up with the runner. He's only going one way. And, it's just silly little basics and people just switching off time and time again. But here we are yet again. I mean, in terms of kind of stands out for you, I mean, I was trying I was flicking through and I kind of thought, well, the nearest player I thought was to a man of the match for us was probably Guedes.
Yeah.
I thought Traore was excellent for me.
Guedes and Boubacar Traore with
Traore
and their players.
Excellent. The way he played, especially when we just stuck him as like a hybrid right winger 8 to try and cover their fullback. I thought he was fantastic. Second half, he just they stopped running. There was one stage I think when Kilman did that like cock up with a dime on the edge of the box and then they like broke off it, and all you just saw was Traore busting his balls to get back. And I thought that's all you want to see. All you want to see is fighting a Wolves team, and he kind of embodied that. And that's the thing about Steve Davis. Like, okay, like I say, we haven't had the best results, whatever. But all I ask is to see a Wolves team fight, and that's what Wolves did, even with 10 men. Yeah, it was disappointing. It was shambolic at times, but at least they actually had a frigging go. Under Bruno, that would have been a surrender. We'd lost 3-0.
Definitely. The only thing else I wanted to note that happened in the game was Conor Ronan making his Premier League debut. Is that I mean, Stu, when you saw him come onto the pitch to immediately take a free kick, were you thinking this could only end one of two ways?
Yeah, I was thinking better like bend it like Beckham or something like that. But it's just bizarre why he's been almost like kept captive here, and not let him go. Don't clip his wings. Just let him fly free. And because he's had a couple of good years in Scotland, and you think, well, okay, he's come back. They'll give him a chance, but he hasn't had a chance.
No.
Little Hodge has played more than him. And you think, well, okay, it's made for him now to come and impose himself. And rather than play Conor Ronan as a kind of attacking midfielder, we've put our record signing who doesn't play there in that position. And it's just another one of them weird things. And when you look at him, you think, well, how is this man not made a Premier League appearance? And I was thinking about it. Have we even seen him since Sheffield Wednesday away in about 2018? I don't think we have.
No.
I'm trying to remember last time he actually.
Would he have been on the Asia Trophy tour?
Not sure. Do you know how many games he's actually played for Wolves?
You'd say something like 20. Oh, I wouldn't say something like, because I know he played in the champion under Lambert. Lambert was like, this is the reincarnation of Kaka, and I was like, okay, Lambert, I believe you.
He I was going to say he's had 8 league appearances for Wolves, including yesterday. I mean,
6 years, 7 years.
It's just.
It was impressive that he took Neves off the free kick as well. Like
Neves
was on there, and the first thing he comes on, I thought this is going to be the most ballsy outrageous ever, and then he's going to find like Kilman's head and he's going to score. We're going to like, oh my god, get him in the first team, and then
it felt almost planned, didn't it? Because like Neves was over it, they made the sub, and all of a sudden he just ran to it. I was like, I appreciate. I have not watched enough of Conor Ronan since he kind of last played for Wolves about 5 years ago now. But it was a big decision, and it didn't pay off because why would it? It's Wolves. I was gonna say, right, let's end the half of this show by just giving ourselves a little bit more pain and misery, but looking at the table. So yeah, we're still right in it. We are joint bottom with Forest, which is legitimately bleak.
Remember when people were saying we ain't cut adrift yet? You look at this next week, and we could be 4 or 5 points away already.
Are you saying we're not? You saying we're not going to beat Arsenal, Stu?
Well, it's unlikely. It's just unless Conor Ronan plays, you don't know, do you?
Yeah.
But you look at it, and you look at them teams, and Leicester have sorted themselves out, and they've jumped up the table. And I know people say, "Oh well, if Leicester can do it, then," but they just seem to be having a weird sticky patch for unknown reasons. Villa have actually got. When that result today was ridiculous. I hadn't seen it, but fair play to them. And then you look at the rest. Leeds have found form from nowhere. Everton have gone back to beat Everton again, and West Ham have got distractions. So then you look at the bottom 4 there: Forest, Southampton, Bournemouth, us. Throw Everton into that, and I think that's what it's 3 from 5 for me.
I still remain hopeful that this league is piss poor, basically. Like,
yeah.
I think we're going to be fine. I was saying, like, discussing earlier on Twitter, in which a world, nothing's gone right for us this season. We've been shit for nearly half of it now, and we're still roundabouts. You look, when we pick up, we get an actual manager in, not an absolute PE teacher, and then, we replace that. You get Steve Davis out of what he was doing. I just look in general and think, surely we're going to turn a corner. A little bit of form's all you need. I don't see us going down. I think Bournemouth have started dropping back. Southampton are not very good. There's just too many poor teams. And like Brighton are 7th in the league. And okay, I know we've been gushing how very good the performance was, but they still only beat us 3-2 with 10 men for 45 minutes. I look and go, if
Yeah.
that's what the league's 7th best has got to offer, then surely we're still within a shout of more than staying up. We'll be comfortable mid-table.
No,
But that's positive, Pete, for me. So
I was going to say, I'm with you on this, Josh. That yeah, we're not in great nicks, but Leeds have shown that what literally just 2 wins on the bounce does for you. That it just propels you up the table.
Yeah.
The difficult thing is we actually need to win 2 games. But and when you look at well, basically our next 7, it isn't happy reading, but we're not completely cut adrift. It's frustrating because we've had a couple of results recently where, let's say Palace, if we'd have got a point from that, if we'd have got a point yesterday, that just would have given us made it look a little bit more comfortable. But those are the cards you've been dealt. We're going to take a short break, guys. After the break, we're going to talk about what we think Lopetegui needs to do when he takes charge. We will see you in just a second.
Hi, it's Richard from Wolves Fancast here. Just interrupting today's show before we get back to some questionable opinions and opinionated questions. To talk to you a little bit about our sponsors, Pixel Yeti Media. They are a design agency that put you and your business first, from web design, logo and branding design, and marketing. If you have any marketing needs, get in touch with them to find out how they can help you get it right. They are over at pixelyetimedia.com. Now let's get back to a show where we can give you some really forced wordplay, niche cultural references, and maybe even a bit of football talk.
Hello, welcome back everybody. So, as you might be aware by now, Wolves are going to get a new manager, with Lopetegui actually taking over after we've played Arsenal.
it's coming out.
It's all going to be fine, isn't it? My question to you guys is, because he's in, I guess, a fortunate position that he's kind of taken over without a game for 6 weeks. And what do you reckon about half our squad plus are still going to be here as opposed to at the World Cup? So he's got a bit of time to do something with these players. So I was thinking, he's the new man in charge. What's he actually got to do to turn things around? So I thought, guys, what are your suggestions for 3 things a new manager has to do? Do you want to hear mine first? Because although, when again, peeping behind the curtain, guys, I messaged Stu this idea earlier about 6 o'clock and said, yeah, I've not actually thought of these when I've suggested this noble idea, but I have thought of them now, Stu. So we're in good hands. Firstly, I know they're talking about warm weather training camps. We need to get the fitness levels up. I'm not having any bollocks about these players going on holiday. Anything like that. No. They need to be running laps, in my opinion, because the fitness levels of these players are abhorrent. Like, both being able to make it through 90 minutes and, well, not pulling up with injuries. We're just shocking, aren't we? So, like, back to fundamental basics of that. I was going to try and avoid, but it's simply hard not to. And Andrew Knight saying in the comments, he's completely right. We need a goal scorer. Can't get away with that one. My other 2, though. Now, I've been thinking about different managers, people in charge of things at the moment. So I was thinking, well, what makes a player stand out? How do we know that they are a Wolves player? So what I'm suggesting is that he charges all the Wolves players £8 a month to wear the pro kit. And that way we will know that they are the official players. You can see I thought long and hard about this.
You still wouldn't know any difference, though, would you? That's the thing.
No,
I mean, I think
me and you could pay that £8, Stu.
Me and my pro shirt.
Yeah.
Me and my pro shirt would look better than half that team at the minute, and it's not even an exaggeration. You go on the fitness levels. I think if he's got anything about him, and you'd look at the farce of it all, and just sack off the whole medical department altogether and bring in his own, or watch our episode with Jalapa from midweek and give him a ring, because everything's all gone to shit since he left. So when he even got a job, he was talking to Dan. So come on, pick up the phone, get Joe Lapper back. He wants a return. We all heard it.
Go get the guitar.
And I don't think it's as simple as just get a goal scorer, because they've got to have chances, haven't they? That's the bigger problem. It's not like we're creating chances and missing them. They don't do fuck all, and they haven't done anything for 2 years. So looking at the FFP point of view, I mean, how much we could actually spend. I mean, you're going to be looking at like begging balls and loans anyway. I think probably about 20-30 million, maybe max. And we need, if we're going to be persistent with Guedes as a second striker after what happened yesterday, then we're going to need at least a goal scorer and some form of attacking midfielder winger who can actually do their job properly. And that's on top of getting Lopetegui and his coaches to improve the wastrels that are here at the first place. So, and you look at that, how on earth Podence is in the Portugal squad, God knows. Absolutely baffled. So he's not even going to be here to benefit from it, but the others may. So I think that's more than anything else. I think that the defence will sort itself out once they've got someone competent anyway. That's not a major issue for me. It's the other end of the pitch, and it has been for years, and it needs sorting out. I mean, the third thing, obviously, bring back gold shorts. Why not? We ain't gold shorts for 3 years. I missed them. Just 1 year of having all gold, even at home. Just think how amazing that would look, especially on a night game. Exactly. Yeah, you pull a strange face, Rich, but think how much of a visionary I am, and things that I've suggested in the past.
And our fortune suddenly changes.
We
got 38 unbeaten. Invincibles are here.
Yeah. I mean, Huddle changed Chelsea's socks to white.
Did he? I don't know that.
Yeah. That's the thing.
That's a lovely bit of trivia.
And there's a thing about, obviously, Liverpool played in white shorts at one point until they changed into all red. There's nothing in the rules that say you can't wear gold shorts.
No, I've got nothing.
And then I could be fully justified in wearing my gold trousers and not being mocked every year.
No, I think you still could. For multiple reasons. I don't quite know where to go. No, I mean, to be fair, I've got nothing against. I've got nothing against it in principle, Stu. I mean, as Sean says in the comments, let's break it down. Stu said, "Screw a striker, we need gold shorts."
Fair play.
Of which, I mean,
Well,
I said charge players, so we're each to their own.
Rich has already mentioned that Boubacar Traoré is gold member earlier on, so why not? Let's just emphasise everything.
Yeah, I don't see where else we can go. We got another comment in from YouTube saying Lopetegui is a taskmaster. Now, my head's immediately going. Stu already knows where my head's going because he knows I'm in a playful mood. Could this be a way we could get the most out of the players by devising a series of bizarre tasks for them to do?
It did nothing for us last season, did it? When they was doing all that stupid other shit last season.
Can you imagine plotting when they did recording versus our results? Because
if we win, we'll post one. If we lose, that one will get saved to the next win, and then that other one never comes out because we never fucking win. So my three was going to be my three was going to be: do not play fucking Semedo again, and you've got to keep all of the lights. You've got to keep all the lights. And now what's going on with Kanye, whatever. But I've got a feeling they're not going to be playing all the lights on Wednesday, and that on Saturday night that is going to be the biggest travesty of this season. And fucking, it's been a bad season.
Well, what do you replace it by? Reach for the Stars by S Club 7 or something?
The Liquidator. Okay, if you're swapping all the lights for Liquidator, I could get that. But the problem is, I've put that thought in my head now, and then when it's some absolute shit rap song that they tried to do yesterday, I'm just going to be bitterly disappointed.
Oh God!
Go back to having black and gold.
Oh, I agree with that actually.
Yeah,
that might be the reason why we're back.
Yeah, I tell you, it could work. It could work. I'm up for anything. Dragging this right back. I think it was it must have been on Friday for the club announcing about no pyrotechnics being allowed in the stadium. Did you see that they sort of a notice on
Do
social
we ever get
media?
flares at the Molineux anyway? Do they ever get flares? Do we ever get them? I don't. When was the last time the flare went off?
Would it have been against
That
Brighton on a
wasn't the
3
away
p.m.
fans.
kickoff?
That
Yeah.
wasn't the away fans. Like I can't
Yeah.
remember one. Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, that was when they threw one at us. But other than that, we're not like a club renowned for that.
No, and I did just think it's again. Hey, I'm more for health and safety, but you know,
Gold.
just
Look at it.
and it's never going to happen, Stu. Are we? Because then we wouldn't be playing in gold and black, would we?
You got gold and black. You
Gotta
got
be
black trim.
black. What on the home shirt? It's got like 3 little bits of black on.
Not
there.
a bit of trim. You can't class a bit of trim.
No, because if you look at the little score bars, especially on Match of the Day and BT sometimes, is it BT sometimes as well? It might be Amazon. One of them, like they always have 2 colours, regardless of if a team's got 2 colours or not. They always have 2 colours. So even if it's a bit of black trim, there you are.
What about Liverpool?
Yeah, it's always red with a little bit of white. Watch next time.
And so I'm going to look out for that now.
I'm gonna have to, which is annoying, to be honest, because it's going to prove Stu right.
It's going to bug me now. It's going to bug me.
It's so meaningless, though, isn't it? That's the thing that's annoying. It makes no difference. Well, before we do go to the before we do have Arsenal at the weekend, you're right. We have got a game midweek. We have got Leeds in the cup, and I don't know. I'm trying to work out how I feel about this game.
That is a very unflattering photo from Bruno. It looks like he's picking his nose.
How things changed at the start of this season, when all we had to worry about was Bruno Lage squaring up to Jesse Marsch. I mean, do you think Wolves will go for it, or do you think that they'll basically play the kids, as it were?
They're going to go for it. There's no way Steve doesn't. He's going to go all out for it. I think there's going to be loads of goals, which feels like a bit of a rarity to say at the minute, but I can see I'm going to predict it now. Wolves win on penalties.
Ooh.
Oh God! Oh, actually, that's not too bad because there's no extra time. He says so. It's fine.
But I hope that means they put it in front of the safe bank, so you might actually see a home goal in front of the safe bank. Because again, we're still waiting. We're going to be waiting for forever. And God, so if we don't score against Leeds or Arsenal, that'll mean we got United on New Year's Eve. That wouldn't say we'd have 1 goal since May in front of the safe bank. Oh my God. I want a refund. Oh my God.
That's
all we do is get shat on at the safe bank now. All we do is concede.
I mean, Stu, we've got Martin in the comments saying he's not bothered about the League Cup. Me and you are always up for the cup. I know that's usually reserved especially for the FA Cup, but let's hear it. Champion the League Cup, Stu.
I mean, the fact that it doesn't detract to anything, does it? Because we know we're going to get beat by Arsenal anyway. So this is like the reverse of when Nuno threw the cup run in place of a league game against Southampton instead, which was a stupid thing to do. And the fact that we are so awful, then we need... If you win the game, then you're on a high automatically, ain't you? So, and we know that it's going to be mixed up anyway because Sarkic will play because that's the rules. And you do kind of hope that, like, just play Dexter at right back. Why not? Just mix a few little things in there. Maybe play like Matinho and Boubacar and Ronan. And maybe Guedes and Jem Campbell and someone, I don't know. So
it'll be in the quarterfinals if you win on Wednesday. And there's lots of Premier League v Premier League ties as well. Lots and lots.
And it's another game before Christmas as well. So
yeah, Lopetegui's first game.
Yes. So just think of it that way. That at the same time, if we get battered, and I'm not really going to be crying my eyes out, so I wouldn't really care. But you've got to get there's got to be something. I mean, I don't know how many tickets we've sold. I'd guess it's going to be the lowest for a long, long time. It's ended twice. But it's a winnable game, even in our current shockingly shit state.
Yeah, it is.
It's still a winnable game. So I don't see why we'd give it up for the fact that we're in a relegation battle. If people want to admit that or not, and think that we're going to get out of everything and everything's going to be rosy, then fine. But we've got to admit over a third of the season's gone and we're second bottom of the league. And we're there for a reason. This ain't going to change overnight, regardless of how good Lopetegui is. If we've got a bit of a distraction where we can actually win games in this competition, then why not? Just give it a go. If we get knocked out later on, then fine.
You don't mind, Dave, when we have a go.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. Like, it's just, you just look at it and go, one of them, it's what have we got to lose? You might as well try and build a little bit of momentum. I mean, like, we're going to get rotted by Arsenal. There's no two ways about it. You know, it's why not just give Leeds a go? Because I think, again, Leeds, you know, they've pushed the balls the last two games, beating Liverpool and Bournemouth at the weekend. You know, they're on a little bit of a high, but you look and go, that's going to come crushing to an end soon. They might rotate. You know, they've got no striker or nothing like that. So it's just hard to say. It'd be nice to see us, at this point, it's desperate for us to win a game. You know, like, if we win Wednesday, it's a good result because I'm that desperate to see us win.
Yeah. To be fair, I was thinking in terms of lineups, what I'd go for, and apart from obviously Semedo, who is suspended and arguably should be in the bin, I'd almost go for probably like the same team basically who played against Brighton, because I'd like to see Guedes get more minutes and actually try and build up some form. Because at the end of the day, we are playing a peer in the table, as it were. We're going to have to still play someone up front, so might as well play Hwang, who is our most natural central attacking player. Maybe you put in Traore for Podence.
Yeah,
but he's never going to, you know, I know a lot of people have sort of championed us going to like 4-2-3-1, but realistically, we're not going to see a formation change. I think we're going to see a midfield three. So, you know, maybe he brings in Ronan or Hodge for Matinho or Traore. But I can't see him necessarily changing the centre halves. I'd keep Bueno because, frankly, he looks tenfold better than
everyone else
at the moment. Yeah, you know.
I think he puts Mascara in it right back because he was going to bring him on, wasn't he? I wonder if he brings him in and plays him right, like auxiliary right back. Whether he plays like a back three and puts like a Dharma wing back, you know, just why not at this point?
No, don't listen to Gully. It's a mad.
I don't want us. I don't want us to. It's just that.
No.
I understand what do you think he's going to do.
I don't. Yeah, I think for the same reason that Rich said that he ain't going to go anything other than 4-3-3 because we haven't got the players to do it.
Yeah,
we haven't got a number 10. He's not going to play Guedes there behind Hwang. That doesn't make any sense.
Where was Jim Campbell on Saturday? He wasn't even on the bench. I hope he's not injured. They would bet something up if he was injured.
Yeah, I mean, if he was just ill, then fine. I'd start Jim Campbell on the left hand side.
Podence, yeah,
yeah, all day long. Why? What we got to lose?
Yeah.
So play him in his actual position, not on the right wing like Bruno did last year. When he's few little cameos, play him on the left where he plays for the under-21s and plays well. Give him a chance. If he ain't good enough, then we know. You're never going to know unless you put these players on and play them in the right place.
Not as like a Brenner type thing and just give him a game.
Yeah. Because you're going to get a far better judgment after 90 minutes than you are 30. A fellow Stu in the comments has said, without good fundamentals, I don't think a formation change is the most pressing issue. And he's right, because it kind of doesn't hugely matter. Let's say, we go, oh, right, fuck it, let's go back to a back three, back five. Will it necessarily make the impact that we want it to? Probably not, because we're still struggling to commit the players going forward in the best degree possible. You change it up front and you move a midfielder forward, we're still going to struggle in certain areas, I think. I like the idea of Campbell getting some minutes because he has had opportunities, but it will just be, I think it's going to be a real question of how much Wolves want to commit to it, which is why I can see maybe Traore starting ahead of him. Guedes obviously can't make a full 90 minutes, so whether they're willing to start him 2 games in a row might be a bit of a question mark. I don't know. But Josh, you've said that we're going to go from penalties. It's going to be a bit of a goal fest. Stu, what are you thinking?
No, I think Leeds will batter us about 3-0, but that's beside the point. I mean, I just want to be entertained. I don't want to be bored. I don't want to be pissed off. I just want to be entertained for a change. And it's a cup. There's a bit of freedom. There's no point going there and sitting and like scraping around and trying to be negative and trying to hit Leeds on the break. We can't defend. We can barely attack. So why don't we just have a go? It doesn't matter if we get knocked out, does it? Obviously, it'd be better. Yeah, it'd be better if it's not. We don't get knocked out. Just have a go and just something different.
That's all you want.
He knows he's got nothing to lose anyway. He's only got the Arsenal game left after that. So go out on a high for him. It'd be good. But saying that, would I take penalties there? Probably. Just because it means we haven't lost again. So yeah, I'll be positive. I'll say 3-1 from God knows where.
Borderline speechless. I mean, Josh, my final question to you on it: would you take a 2-1 defeat if the Wolves' goal was in front of a South Bank?
At this point, I probably would. I'm just, when are we going to score in front of the South Bank? It's just all I ask for. I've paid all that money.
I was going to say,
and I can't
but
do nothing.
You just know that the first goal in, 7 months now, 8 months, so 6 months even. It's not going to be like in Neves.
Some fucker scoring that goal like that, something like that.
Yeah, it's going to be the crappiest goals.
When it's like 3-0 down and score, you're going to be like, wow, thanks, cheers for that.
Hwang's like shinned it in, and it's kind of bounced off the post onto him or something. That's what I'm envisioning.
Just simply score. That's all in front of the South Bank. That's all I'm at. I'm not. I don't want everything. Just score in front of the South Bank.
just a goal in one half of play. It's so not difficult.
And it's not the away team, and then they come and celebrate in front of us, and I'm like, here we are again.
You're getting to see lots of goals that way. That's the positive. Right, we got one question from Twitter Corner, and as I mentioned earlier, guys, you kind of latched onto it earlier, which is slightly annoying. But Rob Cartwright tweeted in, my 13-year-old announced last night there are 2 things he doesn't like about Molineux. Firstly, the football. I didn't hear the second, as my wife and I were laughing so loud. So what do you not like about Molineux? Or has he pretty much summed it up? I feel like doing this 68 minutes into recording, again, I reckon we could knock out a good 25 minutes of things if we're not careful. But Stu, on your long list of grievances against Molineux, I'm assuming cues to get into the South Bank, cues to get into the Steve Ball.
That's never been a problem for me in my entire life. I don't know where this. Oh. I've never had a problem queuing up. Well, once for a cup game because you got some filthy casuals getting in there who don't know the rules. But especially since they knocked the wall down and put some more turnstiles in there, that's not been a problem. And I'll rock up there at about 20 to 3. It takes 5 minutes from the road to get in. It's not a problem. It's fine. Doing anything else inside in the concourse is a problem. And the whole thing needs bulldozing or blowing to the ground and starting again. But other than that, we know that's not going to happen, and that thing's going to outlive all of us. So the Steve Bull stand obviously is a problem, but there we are.
How about you, Josh?
I don't have many gripes apart from the football and VAR just being shit. But the one thing I would say, I think safe standing may be part of the reason the atmosphere is not as good. I don't know. I don't think it's done nothing for it. It was like before when we had no safe standing, the idea of getting launched 3 rows was like that was part of the fun, and now you're there just like I don't know. There's something about it. It's not added nothing in my opinion. It was an experiment. That it was like a bit of a PR move. Oh, look at us, we got safe standing. But then when we get asked to implement it and pay money for travel away fans and be part of this scheme, they didn't want to do it because they don't want to pay the money. It's like I don't know. I'd like to get a general opinion on it in general, but I don't think it made any difference for us when I look and go. If it's not made a difference, then it's been a bad thing because we've paid money. It's not affected us.
I think the problem with it is because the option to lean that forward on the barrier is there for everyone. No one's standing up and no one's the hands in the air, have they? Especially when everything's so dull and awful. Like we had this at Chelsea last season as well in the 2-2, and for the vast majority of the game, we're standing there just leaning like arms on the barriers. Yeah, it is. There is something in that because when you're standing behind seats and you're being all roguish, and you think, well, you have got that kind of added danger that you are going to fall over, but you've got nothing to stand on. You're standing there, you're either arms in the air or arms folded by your sides, wherever, and you're singing. Whereas with this stuff, you are standing there, but you are too comfortable. You're relaxing,
aren't you? You're like,
yeah, you're relaxed.
And the football doesn't help, but I just in general, I don't know, like, because I just don't think it's added nothing to it. And like say they spent all that money on it, and then when it comes to that like away fan scheme, they're like backed out of it for whatever reason. It's like, and they added it in the North Bank for whatever, God knows whatever reason the idea that was, because they don't put the away fans there, and everyone in the North Bank sits down anyway. So what was the idea behind putting it there?
I mean that was why it was for the away fans when the Steve Ball was demolished. That was the thinking behind it.
But then
it's never going to happen. So
we still stick the away fans in the Steve Ball lower.
Yeah,
I don't know. It'd be nice to get a general opinion, because it'd be interesting to see what other people think. Maybe it's just me looking into little things, but other than that, I haven't got no gripes from Molineux. That is one of the gripes that I think, it'd be nice to see what the consensus is, because I don't think it's added nothing, and it's cost us money to add, and it's not benefited us.
It'll be interesting to see. It's not helped by the fact that the football, literally since it's been installed, has been so drab. Like, I'm trying to think. How would it have been? Let's say the Man City game where we won 3-2.
It was the Man City game, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was that season. But like,
yes, it was. Yes,
but bar that, you're looking even that season. It was like I don't know.
Well, half of that season was
specific games, and you look and go, it was. Whereas you look at like United the Cup quarter final, the idea that, but from beyond the South Bank where it's the lot of goals, you look and go, look at the pandemonium. There is none of that. It doesn't feel like that happens. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
No, this is definitely the zone to have any gripes whatsoever. And actually, I think it's quite an interesting one. To be fair, because you're right. I think the idea of being able to stand it kind of being a bit against the rules, but everyone doing it anyway, compared to, you can't not stand in the South Bank, really. Anyway, so it does seem like it's kind of taken away a bit of a novelty, but I don't know. We're kind of missing a few more defining games. I think that's.
I also think they should add like a singing section, because I know we like to think with these Billy Big Bollocks club who's got now, look at us, we can chant all sides of the ground and whatever. We quite clearly can't. We've added these loads of seeds to get older and whatever, and the atmosphere's got worse. Add a singing section. I remember a tweet from Wembley, from just after we lost at Wembley to Watford, and someone said they sat in corporate and they said Watford fans were louder than the Wolves fans, and that was because they had a singing section, and Wolves fans because we thought, look at us, we don't need a singing section, we're this great almighty club, and then we create no atmosphere. Yeah, and I have to kind of echo that.
That worked perfectly for them. I mean, it sounds like the most tin pot nonsense ever, but
it's not. It's not though, is it?
No, for that thing at Wembley. I mean, Wembley's a terrible place anyway.
It is.
But for that reason, it worked perfectly for them. and he gave him a bit of an edge as well. So,
you look at when we went to Tottenham and we beat Tottenham at Wembley. The atmosphere was poor there, apart from the away fans who actually sung, because like I say, it's just in general. I think because we like to think with this massive club, got loads of fans, we don't feel the need to have a singing section. But then I look and go, well, hang on, the atmosphere is considerably worse. You got them blokes up in S1 who always have a go, but no one else is because there's too many people who don't want to sing, and that that's fair enough. But it's killing us at the minute. Now I'm not saying the football's not helping it because it's not, but it's just another thing that I think as well.
Yeah, I was going to say I agree with that. Like, it feels like it shouldn't need to be done, but I think just having that concentrated area, I think actually makes the atmosphere better rather than it just being like dissipated throughout the ground. And you're right at Wembley, because I was around people who wanted to sing and wanted to stand, and very much people who didn't want any of that atmosphere, and it kind of ruined it for both sets of people. Because then like people like me scrapping and having an argument when we went 2-0 up at Wembley because I want to stand but you don't want me to stand, so I can't sit. It's like, guys, just enjoy
before it all falls apart.
It's gonna go downhill at some point. Just enjoy, which ironically is probably the best place to leave the show. Big thanks to everyone who's listened this week and to All Things Fancast in the last week. We've put out some amazing content this week, so please make sure you go check out some of the fantastic interviews that we've knocked out as well. Big shouts out to Pixel Yeti Media and 90 Min Football Network for all your support. And make sure you catch us on all our socials at Wolves Fancast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Until next time, though, it's goodbye from Josh.
Evening.
It's goodbye from Stu.
Evening and morning, depending when you listen. Goodbye.
And it's goodbye for me. See you next time.